Good morning, everyone. My name is Ryan Murray, and I'm excited to work with you guys today. Spend some time focusing on something that we all need but don't always know how to sustain: motivation. So, our topic this for our Best Fit series class today is fueling the fire. How motivation drives movement. So, really spending some time today to talk about motivation that gets us moving, keeps us moving, helps us build a healthier and more energized life. All right, so starting off, a lot of times we think about exercise, we think about activity, we think about, we need a lot of willpower. If we try harder, have more willpower, more motivation, that will magically want to work out every day. The truth is, right, motivation's going to ebb and flow. Right? Motivation is not a personality trait. It's not something that we either have or don't have. Right? Motivation is a process. It's going to be higher some days, lower some days, and we can influence and build motivation intentionally. So that's what today's all about. We're going to talk about mindset shifts at work, difference between discipline and motivation, how we can really build motivation that lasts, and build some discipline and motivation that lasts long term, to build some consistency. Right. Most importantly, how can we make movement feel meaningful, doable, and even enjoyable in our daily life? So hopefully by the end of today's class, you guys can walk away with a better understanding of what your own why is, what are your motivators, what are the real forces that are fueling your motivation, and what are some practical tips to keep you going, whether it's starting a new routine, starting to return from a break. We're just trying to stay and be more consistent. So again, really excited to work with you guys today on focusing on motivation. But before we get into today's topic, I do want to recap our last Best Fit series class that we had. Last time we met, we had our Heart Strong Fitness for Cardiovascular Health class. As the title suggests, obviously focused on improving our cardiovascular health through fitness. Excuse me. All right, so again, exercise can improve cardiovascular health, right? We can improve our heart health, blood vessel health, lung health, right? We can have, the heart that is going to be what's pumping the blood, right? It's going to be able to pump that blood with less effort throughout the body. And improve our blood vessel health, right? Our blood vessels can remain nice and flexible, reducing the risk for hypertension or improving our blood pressure readings, potentially even reduce our need for blood pressure medication. Right, and again, all of that leads to better oxygen utilization, which is going to reduce stress on the system, right? We're going to be more efficient overall. We're going to be able to get oxygen to those working muscles more quickly, more efficiently, be able to exercise, maybe even at a higher intensity longer. Again, we mentioned regular aerobic exercise. So AE stands for aerobic exercise, right? Our cardio, our endurance training. That's going to help lower our blood pressure, lower our resting heart rate. And we also talked about, again, just focusing on small, consistent changes. What can we do to continually build on our habits? And being consistent over the long term is what's really going to lead to those big health benefits long term. So again, really want to encourage you guys, make sure you're aiming for those 150 minutes a week of moderate intensity aerobic activity. Make sure we're including a variety of aerobic activities if we can. Again, we can always start small. Maybe we just want to break into 10-minute sessions, 10-minute walks, 10-minute little physical activity or workout breaks. So we can kind of make movement a part of our day if we don't have an extended period of time. But let me know, you can always review our last class on our YouTube page. I do have the recording up there if you guys missed it. But moving on to this week's topic. Before we get into this week's topic, just some quick questions for you guys to think about, some self-reflection questions to kind of help us, kind of get into that, how can we improve our motivation, improve our discipline, be more consistent around our physical activity, our exercise, or our movement. So starting off, right, what is the biggest reason why you want to exercise more? Maybe we have a few reasons, right? Could be things from improving overall health, improving metrics like our blood pressure, improving our metabolic health, improving our weight management. Let's think about what is your reason why. Why, maybe we have more than a couple reasons. And why do you want to try to exercise more? And start to think about, what helps you progress, what helps motivate you. While we're working out, what's going to help motivate you more, seeing progress or having fun? Then we can focus on one or the other, right? Are we really, deliberate about exercise training sessions so we can see progress with our cardiovascular fitness, our strength, balance, or flexibility? Are we just kind of trying to have more fun, focused on enjoying ourselves? That's what's going to drive us, what's going to motivate us. But we want to focus on having more fun. Lastly, if working out can instantly give you one benefit, kind of think of like, what if we could just magically make something happen? There's one benefit. What would you pick? Would you want to have better sleep, more energy, improved mood, improved strength? Anything else that you can think of? That might give us some insights on some other areas we'd like to try to work on and improve as well. So just some thoughtful questions before we get into today's topic. Some of the topics we'll talk about, we're going to start off by focusing on what's the difference between motivation and discipline. How do they work together to help us be consistent over the long term? Talk about mindset shifts that work. How can we have more positive self-talk? How can we make sure we're setting good goals? Right. So again, that's going to help drive our motivation, help drive our discipline. And then towards the end of class, talking about making it a lifestyle, right? Again, I can't drive the consistency tip home enough, right? If we can be consistent long term, it's really going to help us lead a long and healthy life. So starting off today with motivation versus discipline, right? Motivation really is what's going to get us started, whereas discipline is really what's going to help us keep going every day, right? Most successful routines use both motivation and discipline. They both matter as they both kind of serve different purposes. So I just want to start off by reading the definitions, right? Motivation is going to be the internal drive or desire that inspires you to take action, right? Motivation is going to help us take action, right? Again, what's our reason why, right? We just talked about why we want to exercise more. We have those strong motivators that's going to drive us to make that first step, that first change. Discipline is going to be the ability to follow through with actions consistently, even when you don't feel like you're motivated or ready or have the energy. Right? Discipline is really going to be all about being consistent, right? We're going to do this regardless, right? It's just kind of who we are, what we do. Right? So really, lots of times motivation is really kind of more tied to feelings. You're going to feel inspired, right? We just talked about the reasons why. Maybe we're feeling inspired or excited or confident to start exercise, or maybe we're feeling frustrated with where we're at health-wise or physically. We want to improve our health, improve our physical fitness. Right, again, these feelings are going to fluctuate every day from day to day. Whether we slept poorly last night or slept good last night, maybe we're really stressed out, maybe the weather sucks, maybe the weather's great, maybe we're overloaded with work or we're at home. Again, even our mood, right? All these things can affect our motivation from day to day. Right? Motivation is very emotional. Right? On the other hand, discipline is very habitual, right? Discipline doesn't really depend on those feelings, right? We're doing it because that is who we are, right? I'm going to exercise today because I've seen myself as an exerciser, or, I'm going to exercise today because that's a part of who I am and what I do, or I'm going to exercise or I'm going to be active today because I'm always working on my healthy lifestyle choices. Again, discipline is just habitual, right? We're going to do that. But again, it's always good to think about motivators. We can have both motivation and discipline. It's great for both, right? Motivation is really going to be great for helping us set our vision or set these big goals we might have. Again, with improving our health, improving our weight. Motivation is really going to help us set those larger umbrella goals. Why, right? Again, what is our why? Do we want to have more energy, feel stronger, manage stress better? What's your why? Then that discipline is really going to help us achieve those daily steps, those weekly goals. maybe I just want to walk at 10 minutes after lunch every day this week. Maybe I want to do a stretch routine right before bed every day. Maybe I want to do some meditation to help my stress before bed every day. Maybe I'm focused on feeling stronger, so I want to strength train twice per week. Again, that discipline to get in and do that strength training is going to really help us achieve those daily steps to achieve that bigger goal. Again, we really want to have that discipline so we can really be automatic with some of these health behaviors, right? If we can be automatic with our activity, be automatic with our exercise goals or exercise routine, right? Kind of create that into a non-negotiable routine, and we'll really start to see those benefits pay off in the long term, right? It's going to be that discipline, right? It's going to be just like brushing our teeth, right? We're probably not motivated to brush our teeth daily, but it's just something we do. Hopefully we're doing, right? Brushing our teeth twice a day, potentially even flossing twice per day as well. Or again, maybe we just had a checkup with our teeth. Things weren't looking good, so we're motivated to brush our teeth more, be more consistent. But again, once we build that discipline, we build that habit, right? It's just something we do. We don't have to have that motivation, right? We don't. It's not like I don't feel like brushing my teeth today, right? We're just something we do. Right. So it becomes like, we don't ask ourselves, do I feel like exercising anymore? But what time am I doing, or what am I going to do to get in some activity or to get in some movement? Right? If we build that discipline, we're not going to procrastinate. We're not going to fall back on emotions. We're not going to be using excuses. Right? It's all about kind of creating that structure, those habits that create that consistency. So again, don't view motivation and discipline as competitors, right? We want to use both, right? Motivation is going to give us that spark, give us that initial push, that vision of who we want to become. And then discipline is really going to help create that consistency to get us there. One small step at a time, one day, 1 week at a time. We're going to build on those daily and weekly goals to where we're crushing that larger umbrella goal. We're reaching kind of those vision goals we set out with. So let's make sure we use both motivation and discipline. So that way we can really build a routine and stick with it. All right, so then once we're building that momentum, building that motivation, building that discipline, we can also work on our mindset during these times, right? Really trying to have a positive mindset around movement, around activity, around exercise. We don't want to be beating ourselves up or setting the bar too high. So just starting off with some of the tips here, right? Lots of times we can experience barriers, right? We can put those own barriers on ourselves, just mental barriers, even in terms of different feelings. Maybe we don't feel like we're doing good enough. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough energy. Maybe things didn't go well in the past. We all face these struggles, right? Yeah, I really want to encourage you guys, try to have that positive self-talk, focus on the positives. Starting off, let's focus on realistic routines, right? We don't have to focus on the ideal routines, right? So we might not be an Olympic athlete, so we don't need to work out 7 days a week, 3 hours a day, right? Maybe that's what we'd like to be, right? Our ideal would be, be an Olympic athlete, but let's be realistic with ourselves. If we're not an Olympic athlete, maybe we don't need to be working out that long, that often. Right? We don't need to spend a ton of time focusing on the ideal routine that far exceeds our time, our level of ability, our goals, right? So again, we can focus on where we're at currently, right? So a good example would be, it'd be great. I would love to buy a mansion, but I don't have that money, right? Maybe I do have a little bit of money I can reinvest into my own current living situation to improve that, right? Maybe repaint the walls, put up some new artwork, rearrange the room even. That might even be cheaper, right? Little things we can do to improve our current situation, right? Unless I win the lottery, I'm not buying a mansion, right? So again, it's great to dream big, but let's be realistic. What's a routine we can actually accomplish this week? What are some workouts or activity I can actually do this week? Can I go ahead and crush that? And then continue to build on those smaller goals. Results are going to take time. This one's always tough, right? Because, we crushed it in the gym this week and last week, but we're not automatically turning into a pro athlete or shedding all the weight we'd like to see, or, being as fit as we'd like to see. The lack of results can be discouraging. Again, really want to encourage you guys to be patient, Seeing the results can take a lot more than just one workout or 1 week of working out. Right? Be patient, commit to your routine, and trust the process. We don't want to be just doing some random workouts every once in a while, right? Which can be really tough to see those results. Right? We really want to be focused on, especially if we're doing true training or trying to really improve cardiovascular fitness or improve muscular strength and fitness. Right? Can we be deliberate with our exercise and our training, follow a program week after week, and we will start to see those improvements. Again, seeing those results, seeing those improvements will help us build that motivation and momentum, help us build that discipline over time as well. So let's make sure we're sticking to a plan. But now if you've stuck with a plan for a long time and aren't seeing the results you'd like to see, maybe we do need to change things up. Maybe we need to change the exercises, change the intensity, or maybe we need to focus on other areas of wellness. Maybe we need to focus on better sleep or managing stress or better dietary choices. Lots of things we might be able to do to see those results we'd like to see. But again, going back to what's realistic, let's adapt to the time we have available. Again, setting that ideal routine. I don't have 3 hours a day, 7 days a week to get into the gym. So let's be realistic. Let's focus on the time we do have available and create some realistic times or some realistic movement sessions, exercise sessions. If I only have time for a single set of squats, I can go ahead and do that. I only have time for a 10-minute brisk walk. Let's make that happen. Again, it doesn't have to be an hour in the gym or more in the gym to see progress. Maybe we just have a time for a 20-minute YouTube video or a 20-minute fitness class. Anything that we can kind of fit in a quick and effective workout, again, is going to really kind of help switch that mindset to more positive. And again, focusing on the mindset, we want to have self-compassion. We don't want to be self-criticizing, right? We want to focus on the positives, not the negatives. Having more positive self-talk will foster that long-term consistency, help us be more resilient, help us improve our mental health. We don't want to be guilting ourselves. We want to, kill ourselves with kindness. Right, so rather than punishing ourselves, let's treat ourselves with encouragement when facing setbacks. Right, maybe today we had to skip a workout, so we don't have to have an all or nothing attitude. If I can't do a full workout, maybe I can do my 10-minute brisk walk or my 1 set of squats, or maybe I just know that I can do that tomorrow. Right, so let's replace that self-criticism. I'm lazy or I'm not good enough with something more compassionate, more constructive, more positive. Today wasn't the best day. I didn't have time or I was tired. I'll try a light walk tomorrow. Right. So again, reframing that into a positive and focusing on that consistency and that discipline. Really want to value showing up for yourself, even in small ways. And lastly, just thinking of emotions, right? Are we tired? Are we exhausted? Are we feeling some other emotions? Some days we might not have the energy or feel motivated to exercise or add movement into our day. But we definitely want to make sure, or we're feeling that regularly. If we're feeling that regularly, we really want to have a deep look into our current lifestyle. Are we feeling low energy a lot of the time because we're sleeping poorly? Are we only getting a few hours of sleep each night? Are we skipping meals, eating poor food choices, or drink choices, right? Poor diet's not going to help us feel energetic for workouts. Have we encountered any other major life changes lately? Again, major life stressors, certainly a large amount of stress is going to help us or affect us to feel more exhausted, more tired. So again, maybe we need to prioritize sleep. Maybe we need to get that 7 hours of quality sleep each night. Maybe we want to focus on dietary choices, drink choices. Are we staying hydrated? Are we choosing quality single ingredient whole foods? Are we getting those vitamins and minerals and those macronutrients that we need to feel good? Are we managing stress enough to, are we going through any major life changes? Do we need to manage stress a little bit better? Again, by making some simple shifts in our mindset, we're going to be able to continue to build that momentum and build that consistency and that discipline that we just talked about. All right, so once we kind of improve our mindset, start to build that discipline, build that motivation and momentum, then we can really think about how we're making movement, making activity a lifestyle. Right, one of the biggest keys to building sustainable routines is really lowering the barriers that make exercise feel difficult or feel inconvenient. Right, so always lower these barriers. So what, for one, if we're choosing a gym, we have to choose something that's convenient. That's my number one tip with choosing a gym. I feel like there's a lot of affordable gyms out there anymore. There are definitely some that are more expensive, but let's make sure we're choosing a convenient gym. Is it close to our work, close to our home? That way we don't have an excuse to skip the gym. If it's too far away, it's hard to get to, parking lot's crazy, it's always going to become an easy excuse to skip and to avoid the gym. So let's choose one that is close to our home, close to our workplace. So that's one less mental barrier we have to encounter. I'd also kind of put on there, lots of gyms often offer free trial memberships now. So can you get there and see, what's the environment like? Do you feel comfortable in that gym? Do you like the patrons that might go or the employees? Do you like the music they're playing over the loudspeakers? All of those might also be some other factors when choosing a gym. I also want to encourage you guys, another fun tip is having a workout partner, having a gym buddy, having an accountability partner. It's going to be so much easier to be consistent when someone else is counting on us. A partner is going to really provide some encouragement, some competition, bring in some social connection there as well. Hopefully make those workouts more enjoyable. And then it's going to help us reduce that chance of, talking ourselves out of showing up. Lastly, just want to focus on choosing movements, activities, exercise that we like. If we know we don't like something, we don't have to force ourselves to do it. There's so many ways we can be active or include movement into our lives. Again, maybe we like walking outside, maybe we like dancing, maybe we like lifting weights, maybe we like yoga, right? All of those are completely different. Maybe we like some of those, right? We can choose the ones we like, whatever feels good and fits your personality. And when we enjoy that activity, it's not going to feel like a chore. It's going to be something we look forward to. And again, enjoyment is going to be one of the strongest predictors of long-term consistency. Right, so the goal isn't always to push harder, right? But can we make this easier? We choose a gym that's convenient, find a workout partner, find something we truly enjoy. All that's going to make movement easier and to make it into our lifestyle, right? When we lower these barriers, it's going to be so much easier to be consistent, and we're not going to struggle to make these sustainable changes. So last big slide for you guys is just staying motivated. I think that's something we all struggle with at some point. Again, we talked about motivation, ebbing and flowing. It's going to be higher. It's going to be some lower days. Right? Even if when we have the best intentions, the best plans, the best workout plan, the best workout partner, there's going to be some days where things kind of don't feel the best. You might not feel as motivated. But again, we're just going to try to create some strategies that even when we don't feel motivated, we can still get some success. We can still count on ourselves to have some success around movement and activity. So first, just want to stick to a consistent routine. Commit to a plan. Again, once we kind of are able to stick to a routine, really follow a training program week after week, seeing those results, seeing those improvements will build that momentum and also help build that discipline. Right, again, talked about not wanting to do random workouts every once in a while, right, because we're not going to see as great results. So we want to focus on following that routine, being consistent. We're going to see those results. It's going to be so much easier to, again, continue to stick to that routine when we're seeing those results. Next, I want to think about adding some variety. Can we mix up activities to keep things fun? Right, doing the same workout day in, day out, or week in, week out, it could potentially get boring over time, right? And then, maybe our one thing is to walk outside. Maybe the weather sucks today. Right, so having some variety will help keep things fun, keep things enjoyable, right? We want to change things up. Maybe we want to try a new class. Maybe we want to switch between just doing cardio, add in some strength training or add some balance training in there, explore other outdoor activities, whatever keeps our routine fresh and keeps us moving forward. Also want to think about rewarding ourselves, not only for showing up, but for completing our routines, right? So if we've had a consistent routine, stuck to it, met some of those uh, smaller weekly or monthly goals. Let's start to reward ourselves. That's really going to help us continue to stay motivated, continue to build that momentum. Again, it doesn't have to be anything huge. We like the idea of rewarding ourselves with new workout gear, new workout equipment. But it could be other things as well, right? Maybe we want to try to find a relaxing activity after a tough week or something like that. Maybe it's just simply using a habit tracker and checking off, hey, I hit my workouts for this week. But maybe I've been consistent with my walking routine. A great reward might be a new pair of walking shoes or a new walking outfit or a new water bottle to take along with my walks. And lastly, again, we talked about mindset, having that positive mindset. Make sure to hype yourself up with that positive self-talk. Let's not beat ourselves up. Again, the way we talk to ourselves 100% matters, right? We want to have that encouraging self-talk. Maybe we want to have some encouraging music or energizing music. Maybe that kind of helps us get in the mood as well, right? And maybe we even have some personal mantras like just start or just do it or whatever might help shift our mindset to that positive. Right, a little internal encouragement is going to make a huge difference in how we feel ready to move and ready to exercise. So again, motivation is not always going to be high. That's totally okay. Right, there's going to be days where we don't feel amazing or don't feel super energetic for a workout. But again, having these tools we can rely on to keep ourselves engaged and energized, moving forward, really help us stay on the course. So again, think about some of these small strategies to make sure we're feeling that we're keeping active movement doable even on those tougher days. So those are most of my tips for you guys this week, but I did include a fun handout for you guys in the weekly email with our motivational toolkit here. Just a few fun tips and a tracker on the next slide I'll show you guys. So it's just a front and a back. But with the handout, the motivational toolkit handout, just starts with the quick tips, some quick start tips. Maybe we just want to start small with a 10, 15-minute walk. Again, we want to listen to our body. Again, we don't have to do even 3 to 4 days a week. Maybe even start less than that. I've got a really fun little 5-minute movement menu. You choose. Maybe do a eeny, meeny, miny, mo sort of thing. We want to stretch, march in place, try a short yoga flow, dance to our favorite song, do 10 jumping jacks or 10 squats. You choose. Whatever it might be, maybe choose a couple. I also have some daily affirmations. This goes great along with our positive self-talk or our mindset shifts. Love some of these daily affirmations. I'm capable of starting small and building momentum. I move my body because I care for it. I'm worthy of feeling strong and energized. Every step I take is progress, right? Some of those positive self-talk will keep us on track. On the back page, we just have our daily movement tracker. Just really want to encourage you guys to use this. This is obviously feel free to use technology if you like to use that as well. It's a great way. Use pen and paper. You use this tool to track our movement habits for the week or over time. Again, we can put the type of exercise we did, how hard it was, the date, any other notes we might like to include, so that we can kind of see how we've progressed over time, how we've improved, and again, hold ourselves accountable. Just want to mention we do have some fitness facility discounts offered through Baptist. So I feel like we do have quite a few discounts in most of the metropolitan areas. If you go to the discounts page, a lot of different gyms. No free gym memberships, but we do have some discounts. So if you're thinking about joining a gym, make sure to check those out. Let us know if you have any questions about the gym discounts. Just some key takeaways before we wrap things up. Really, again, motivation is going to get you started. Discipline is going to keep you going, keep you consistent. So let's have both. Let's work on both. Right, staying motivated is really going to help come from a variety of routines. So we want to reward ourselves, have positive mindset. And lastly, make sure we're choosing activities that we truly enjoy so we can build long-term habits, right? Have that long-term consistency, that long-term success. So one call to action for you guys today is commit to one consistent action this week. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let's just start. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to us at Best Health. Love to help you guys out. That's all I've got for you guys today. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.